So you're learning web design and you can build a website, but now you want to make it look professional. Because at the end of the day, who's going to want to pay for a website that looks unfinished? I'm going to give you 5 web design best practices that you can use today to improve your websites. My first tip is to align your elements. If things aren't aligned, you can really tell a budget website from a professional one. When things aren't aligned, it really just looks messy. So use consistent margins and padding throughout the site. For example, on desktop, go for 10% padding or margins down the left and right side of the screen. And then tablet and mobile, go for maybe 5 or 3% all the way down the page. Then on the main section of the page, aim for an even distribution of your elements to avoid a cluttered or unbalanced look. And to help with this, you can use something like a grid system. And then just a note on text, so left aligned text should be used like 90% of the time because it's easier to read. It's okay if you've just got like 2 or 3 lines of text, have it center aligned, but nothing more than that. My next tip is to use text hierarchy. Text hierarchy is when the most important information is emphasized. This can be done by using larger fonts, a bold font, or even vibrant colors. So that can be used for the headings, and then working down that just a fraction smaller for the subheadings, and then taking it down to the body text. This is important in web design because most users will come onto the page and just scan through your website quickly. So it allows them to pick up key bits of information nice and quickly because it stands out. Another thing you can do is to use different font weights and opacities to differentiate between text elements. And my next tip is to choose colours which work well together. Selecting colours that complement each other can create professional looking websites. Colours with a similar saturation tend to work well together. I usually use less saturated colours for a more natural look, because when you crank up the saturation on a colour, it can look quite artificial and digital. One really helpful tool to find colour palettes, if you haven't used it already, is a website called Coolors. Coolors is a free online tool, but also an app so you can get it on your smartphone. And with it, you can generate colour palettes quickly and easily. You just simply hit the space bar on the keyboard and it generates new colour palettes. And if you like one of the colours, you can just click the padlock button and it will lock in that colour out of say 5 or 6. Hit the spacebar again and then it will generate the other 5. You can lock in again the first 2 and then work through until you found the perfect colour palette for your site. And then using this colour palette that you've just locked in, you can choose one primary colour, a secondary colour, an accent colour, a colour which can be used for buttons, and then the last one can be just used for body text, so which is a colour which contrasts well against the background. Then when it comes to typography and web design, less is more. So my next tip is to choose just 2 font families. Limiting to just 2 font families can help create a more cohesive design. Too many fonts can lead to clutter and a lack of consistency. This makes it much harder for users to focus on the content. So just choose one font family for the headings and then another font family for the body or paragraph text. So just consider how well those 2 font families work together. You can look for similar characteristics like similar stroke weights. If you're trying to get a fancier look for say a more premium brand, use serif fonts. So they're the ones with the little flicks which are called glyphs. Then for a more casual look, you can use serif, which is without the glyphs. And then my final tip, which is a crucial one, but often overlooked, and that is to use white space. So white space doesn't actually mean white space in colour. It can be any colour, but it's just use of blank space on the page. Proper spacing between elements on the site create breathing room and it enhances the user experience. But it doesn't need to just be between elements, so consider the spacing between lines of text as well. So if the lines are a little bit bigger, as in line spacing on text, it can be easier for people to read. When things are crammed up together, you forget which line you're on as you're reading. You've probably read a book and been like, wait, did I just read that line? And that happens on websites too, so space things out nicely. And then as well on text, unless it's a long blog post, you want to have small chunks of text throughout the page. Because if there's loads of long text, people are just going to be overwhelmed and they won't read any of that information at all. So you can also tactically use white space to draw focus and attention to one point on the page. So if you want someone to focus on a particular word or phrase, you can do that. So put white space around it, or draw attention to an image by doing the same thing. So there you have it. Now you have 5 web design best practices that you can use today to polish up your web design skills. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate if you could hit the subscribe button just so I know you like the content and it will encourage me to keep making videos like this. Thanks for watching.